In the quiet suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina, a boy practiced jump shots in the driveway long after the sun had disappeared. The thud of the ball, the swish of the net, and the soft hum of dreams filled the air. His name was Stephen Curry, the son of an NBA player, but to most just another kid with a ball and a belief. From the beginning he was overlooked. Too skinny. Too short. Too fragile. Coaches doubted him, recruiters dismissed him. While others were built like warriors, Stephen's frame looked like it belonged in a library, not on a court. He didn't storm into rooms, he blended into them. His game was quiet, surgical, and precise. But in a world addicted to power, subtlety was invisible. Even at Charlotte Christian School, where he led his team to victories and showed flashes of brilliance, the big-name colleges never called. Duke? No interest. North Carolina? Not a whisper. The basketball world watched but didn't see. Steph didn't respond with anger. He responded with work. Early mornings. Late nights. Endless reps. He studied angles, release timing, footwork. The mechanics of greatness. His father, Del Curry, taught him how to shoot. Not just to make baskets but to craft an art form. Together they refined a release so fast defenders never had a chance. Still, the world remained unconvinced. His friends were signing letters of intent to powerhouse schools. Steph had nothing but silence. Then came Davidson, a small college tucked away from the national spotlight. Their offer wasn't flashy, but it was real. Head coach Bob McKillop saw what others missed. Not just a shooter but a thinker, a student of the game, a leader. Steph accepted, not with fanfare but with fire in his heart. He wasn't chasing attention, he was chasing truth. He stepped onto Davidson's campus with a baby face and oversized dreams. The gym was smaller. The lights were dimmer. But for Steph, the mission was clear. Prove that greatness doesn't need permission. In his first practices, teammates were stunned by his range. He'd pull up from 30 feet like it was nothing. But beyond the arc, what truly mattered was inside. Resilience that couldn't be measured, belief that wouldn't bend. He wasn't just playing basketball. He was writing a rebuttal to every voice that ever told him he couldn't. This wasn't a story about talent falling through the cracks. It was about a storm quietly forming, one bounce, one breath, one belief at a time. And while the world still hadn't turned its head, something was shifting. Davidson had taken a chance. Stephen Curry had taken aim. And the game was about to change forever. Fire from deep. The world met Stephen Curry in March. Davidson College, an underdog in every sense, was thrown into the national spotlight during the 2008 NCAA tournament. At the center of it all was a boy with wide eyes and a lightning release. Steph dismantled giants, Georgetown, Wisconsin, Gonzaga. One deep three at a time. His shots defied reason, his calmness mocked pressure. Crowds roared. Broadcasters scrambled for superlatives. A star had arrived. But outside the roar of the tournament, the questions persisted. He's too small for the NBA. Can't handle elite defenders. Built for college, not the pros. Steph heard it all. Every critique, every doubt, every snub. Even as he declared for the NBA draft, the skepticism lingered. Analysts dissected his body, not his brilliance. Scouts praised his shooting but questioned everything else. His defense, his durability, his ability to lead. Draft night came with both hope and hesitation. Teams passed him over. The Warriors picked him 7th overall, not with certainty but with curiosity. Steph entered the NBA quietly. No dramatic press conferences. No bold proclamations. Just a simple promise, to work. But the NBA was unforgiving. Veterans tested him. Speed and strength swallowed him whole. Worse yet, his body betrayed him. Chronic ankle injuries forced him to the sideline. Game after game, season after season, he watched from the bench as pain stole his rhythm. Surgeons cut into his ankle twice. Doctors questioned his future. Pundits labeled him a bust in progress. Even Golden State hesitated, offering a modest contract extension, unsure if he could survive, let alone thrive. At night, Steph trained alone. Strengthening his body, refining his game, rebuilding brick by brick. He wasn't just healing, he was evolving. Faster release. Tighter handle. Quicker feet. And most importantly, unshakable belief. His teammates began to notice. So did the coaches. There was something different in his eyes. Not desperation but quiet determination. When he returned, the league barely noticed. But Steph didn't need applause. He just needed space, 3 feet 2 seconds, and the ball. He began stringing together games that made defenders dizzy. Floaters. Stepbacks. Logo shots. His ankle wasn't just stable, it was silent. And in that silence he found clarity. The kid they called too fragile was starting to look fearless. The turning point didn't come in a playoff game or headline moment. It came in how he moved. Smoother, faster, deadlier. Not flashy but devastating. The league still hadn't fully awakened. They saw numbers rising but not the revolution brewing. They still called him a shooter. But Steph was something else entirely. A storm-gathering rhythm, waiting for one open court to unleash its force. He had survived doubt, injury, and invisibility. Now he was ready to ignite. And the NBA had no idea what was coming next. The revolution 500 words. The transformation wasn't sudden, but it was seismic. Stephen Curry, once a question mark in the league, began stringing together performances that left opponents breathless and coaches speechless. In 2015 he was named the NBA's most valuable player. But the real value wasn't in the trophy. It was in how the game was starting to bend around him. Steph didn't just shoot threes. He warped the court. Defenders stretched themselves past their limits trying to chase him off the line. Double teams came at half court. Traps failed. Screens became weapons. And the moment he crossed half, fans held their breath. This wasn't just scoring. This was sorcery. Under head coach Steve Kerr, the Warriors unlocked Steph's fully fast-paced ball movement, spacing, and a green light from anywhere. The result? A 67-win season and an NBA championship. The skinny kid with glass ankles had become the architect of a basketball empire. But with success came resistance. Pundits claimed he was lucky, a product of the system. Old-school legends mocked his game, calling it soft, not real basketball. They said he relied on threes because he couldn't fight in the paint. Steph heard it all, again. But this time he didn't just answer with stats. He answered with dominance. The 2016 season became a spectacle. He averaged over 30 points per game, led the league in steals, shattered the single-season three-point record, and became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. He wasn't just playing well, he was reshaping physics. Kids on playgrounds stopped pretending to dunk. They pretended to be Curry. Pulling up from half-court became a dream, not a mistake. Coaches rewrote their playbooks. Front offices rebuilt rosters. The game's geometry was altered forever. So he never shouted. While others flexed, Steph smiled. He chewed his mouth guard, danced with joy, and celebrated his teammates. He played with freedom, not to humiliate but to inspire. He didn't demand the spotlight, yet the spotlight couldn't look away. Critics scrambled to adjust their arguments. But deep down even they knew, this wasn't a trend, this was a turning point. Then came the dynastic run. Multiple championships, the arrival of Kevin Durant, records shattered and rewritten. But Steph never lost his core. He remained the quiet engine, the soul beneath the spectacle. Opponents feared him not because of brute strength but because of inevitability. A 10-point lead against Golden State meant nothing if Steph was on the floor. He could erase it in seconds with shots that felt impossible, until he made them. The revolution wasn't just about distance. It was about possibility. Stephen Curry had taken basketball, once rigid, power-dominated, and predictable, and turned it into poetry in motion. The kid who no one believed in was now the reason millions believed in themselves. But even as he stood atop the basketball world, one question remained. What does a revolution look like, when it's still evolving? Legacy over limits. Stephen Curry never asked to be the face of a movement. He simply refused to be ignored. Even after championships and MVPs, he trained like a rookie. Up before sunrise, dripping sweat before most had stirred their coffee. Not for fame. Not for records. But because he knew the game, like life, never stops evolving. Off the court he was just as precise. A devoted husband. A proud father. A man of faith. He used his platform not to build walls around himself, but to lift others. Funding education, advocating for equality, and telling kids from every corner of the world, you don't need to be 6 feet 8 inches to change the game. Still, even legacy has critics. Some called him too clean. Others claimed he was too nice to be truly great. In an era obsessed with edge, Curry's humility